just about ready to get started here. We need a microphone from Esther.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to our Oasis to Oneness channel. I'm your host, Esther, and today we're excited to announce a new spiritual community we're developing. I'll be talking with the founders, Jody Foster from 5dearthspeaks.com and Darlene Chadbourne from darlenechadbourne.com. Let's begin with Jody. Would you mind sharing with us a brief introduction of yourself and the work that you do?
Absolutely. My work is through 5dearthspeaks.com. You can visit there, and I will put the link down below in the description. So you'll have a link there. What I do, I've been reading energy since I was a child. I read people's energetic field. I have been working with clients for upwards of almost 4 decades. So I work directly with someone through their spiritual transformation, their awakening process. We do a lot with the Ascension energies that are coming in and assisting people with their spiritual awakenings and expansion. And that's a lot of the work you'll see. I'm an energy transformation specialist, and I do coaching and mentoring work as well.
That's wonderful. Darlene, we'd love to hear some information about you and the work that you do.
Sure, Esther. Thank you. I have been known mostly as a numerologist, which is a wonderful beginning point for anybody's path that wants to expand. But then I have expanded into dowsing energy fields and helping people to understand where their energy is, where it's invested, what it's doing for them or not doing for them. And so those are the areas that I cover. I do individual sessions. I work with many different people of all different ages in different business aspects. So there's a lot that I've covered over the last 25 to 30 years. So that's who I am and what I'm about.
Oh, wonderful. Between the both of you, there's so much to share. How long have each of you been doing this work? You've both touched on it a little bit, but it looks like we have a combined many decades worth of experience between the two.
Absolutely. And there's definitely a combination. I started at age 17. So someone wonderfully recognized my skills and my capacity to read energy, and I started my training then. As I went along, I added in a degree in psychology, and I have been at this working with clients over 30 years and close to 4 decades, as I said. So it's something that in working one-on-one with people, I really work to assist them not only in reading their energetic, but assisting them to move forward and to fast track through the emotional realm, the mental realm, the spiritual aspects of their opening and their awakening process. So it's something that has developed over the years, obviously, and we keep expanding and expanding and expanding. Obviously, because the world is expanding and our awarenesses are expanding, and the frequencies are rising, and I help people with how to deal with some of that too. And Ascension symptoms is part of that, and that is Ascension as raising our individual energetic frequency signatures. So it's been quite a while, and so I work one-on-ones, I work in groups, I work teaching. And Darlene, I'll let you go next here. And I would like to ask that you address your books that you have available.
Oh, okay. Well, we can do that. I started this path when I turned 50. And I didn't have a clue who I really was. I knew I had a lot of roles and a lot of hats I wore in life, but I didn't know who I was, that I am part of me. And so that's when I decided to go to college, and I got my degree in psychology. And you know what happens when you get into psychology? You really got to figure out yourself. And so that happened during that 4 years of college. And it was a fascinating turn of events. And my higher self and I am presence opened up to a level I never recognized previous to that. And so I graduated in 1999. I had played in the alternative spiritual community, though since the early 80s, it drew my interest. So it's been quite a while. But in the process, I was mostly the numerologist, and the first thing I tackled was a book called Freedom Through Numbers by Finding Your I Am. And Finding Your I Am was an incredible download that was given to me. Both the graphic and design that's on the cover of my book, as well as the mantra that I have that goes with it. And it's all about the infinity sign and the figure 8 and our connections to all that is. So that has been a powerful thing for me. And then a few years later, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, I joined forces with another numerologist. And we created a second book because she was a school teacher and identified the fact that junior high students could really use a book to figure out who they are. And so she says, let's make this easy. So the second book is Freedom Through Numbers, easy as 1, 2, 3, which anybody can figure out their own numbers and how to use them. So that's been my career to this point. It just keeps expanding and expanding. And the world that we're in is expanding. And we have so much to talk about. And that's why this community is becoming an happening place.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, just hearing both of your backgrounds, Jody, with knowing you had this gift and starting at a young age with your training, and then Darlene, you noticed at age 50, that's when things started to shift for you. So that's a great example that anyone of any age, can be searching for answers about themselves, the universe, what's going on. So between the two of you, there's a lot to discuss and to be shared. May I ask how your work is different from others in this field?
Well, I think that one of the ways in which I differentiate myself is that I also read not only the energy field of the person, but I read the soul threads. I can read all the threads of the life experiences that that soul has had. And it's not so much about going into each past life experience. It's about working within there to open up the flow of anything that's been tangled up, anything that's repeating cycles, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So that is a little bit of a difference in how I work. I also read and channel. I have been channeling since I was a child. And it's in that channeling, I work with their spirit guides and channel the download prior to working with an individual. So, and their guides may communicate through me during a session as well. So there is a very well-rounded approach to the energetic structure and to our progress. And it's like, the concept says, well, what does our energy field really have to do with us? Well, we are feeling beings. We are made of electromagnetic energy. That is the big energy field around us. And think about every time there's solar flares happening and it's sending electromagnetic energy to the planet, we are electromagnetic energy beings, so we feel it. And even though we don't physically see it visually, it still affects us. And all of this progress that we're making forward in trying to raise our vibrational frequencies and expand is about us connecting to our true authentic self inside, who we really came here to be. How do we connect to our soul potential? How do we connect to our soul purpose? How do we connect to who we authentically are in our own origins? And that's a lot of the work I do as well. And so it's it's a unique approach, and I will say that, but the channeling is a big part of that, and we'll discuss that a little bit further, I know, but that is a little bit broader view of how I work.
Well, it sounds like there's so many different skills that you pull together to create a unique space and experience for whoever you're working with. Whether that's
Absolutely.
individually or in a group session, there's a lot of information through all these different realms and all the tools and your gifts that you share with your audience, and that's just wonderful, especially during this time of an awakening, or people really looking deeper into who they are and why they're here, what's their purpose. It's such an exciting time because it seems more and more people are reaching out and trying to find their people or their community, and that there's such a wealth of background and history and gifts, for you to share to help assist people with that journey.
Yes, thank you for that. And yes, I think it is very well rounded. And when I have a session with someone, I'm showing up and I meet that person right where they are in that moment in time, and that is where I'm reading from. And we go through the process of working them through any obstacles that they're dealing with. I fast track a lot through working through mental looping patterns that they can free themselves from, through emotional patterning and generational patterning that they no longer need to carry. So there's a lot about the patterns, the cycles, the looping, but it's also about how to go straight through some of that without getting caught along the way. Darlene works a little bit differently from me. So why don't you explain a little bit more? And she actually is a master numerologist. So there we go. I'm going to throw that in. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, there are wonderful numerologists out there. There's a lot of us. And I know quite a few of them, and they're all great. So don't ever be afraid of working with any of them, because all of the information that we come up with, we each can use different methods. I happen to use the Pythagorean theory, and I help people look for passion, purpose, and potential. And that was what I was looking for myself when I started my path. And that's what I found. And so that's what I try to guide people to, is what is your passion, purpose, and potential? And the neat thing about numerology is it gives me a layout, a blueprint is what I call it, of numbers that calculate to different positions on a blueprint. And those different positions come into play at different times in your life. And then there's temporary numbers. And the temporary numbers are the magical part of the work I do. I don't know how many other numerologists focus a lot on temporary numbers, but I usually give people a full 8 numbers in the blueprint, plus the temporary numbers for 2 years. And the magic that happens with the temporary numbers is when a temporary number shows up and matches one of those blueprint numbers, that's a window of opportunity to make a difference and get some results. And Other times it's more resting and just paying attention to life in general. And do pay attention to synchronicities. There are so many messages that come to us indirectly through other places, other people, are just certain happenings. And those are things that I encourage people to keep a daily diary or journal to keep track of things. And then I was introduced during my college studies to dowsing and dowsing labyrinths, and how do we use dowsing to connect with our knowing. And for me, I use my fingers to dowse with. Some people use pendulums, some people use L rods, which I use when I dowse a labyrinth for someone. And I've made dowsed quite a few different labyrinths for people over the years. Then there's the dowsing of your own energy field, because labyrinths amplify energy. And they make these beautiful vortexes that are cleansers as well as amplifiers. And so there's that aspect of my work. But then there's the mentoring part, where many people come to me, okay, I've got my numbers, now what? Well, what are your goals? Where do you want to go? And so I do lay out mentoring programs for people and work with people once a month. Some people have been with me for 5, 6 years and more on a monthly basis. So that's an important part of how I differentiate myself from other numerologists. But like I say, it's a wonderful skill, and it's easier than being an astrologer. I couldn't handle that one. That's a little too complex for me. So, but they are both wonderful information venues in order to find out who you are on a much deeper level than what you know yourself to be. And I know everybody watching this is wondering who that beautiful face is looking at us down below. And this is Esther's doggy that we're going to hear all about in a little while. So, but I had to satisfy your curiosity as to why she's there.
Yes, I'm sure. Well, everyone loves dogs, right? I mean, come on. But yes, thank you, Darlene, for sharing all of that. And we will have a segue in just a minute where we will find out about Kita, who has quite a story in and of itself, of herself, I should say. But just to circle back on what we've talked about already, and for those that don't know, Jody and Darlene are mother and daughters. And look at how the work that they do, it varies, but is so interconnected. And how Jody tends to work from the outside in, and Darlene tends to work from the inside out with figuring out what your numbers are and then making your plan. So we have a wealth of knowledge just within the two of you and all the aspects that you study and the gifts that you share with all of us, which we are so grateful for. Now to move on to the star of the show, we'd like to share about Kita, who is a very special dog, or doggy, as she calls herself. Jody, would you like to share a little bit more about Kita to start off?
Absolutely. About 5 years ago, or maybe I guess I'm going to backtrack a little bit further than that. And we'll go back to when Esther first adopted Kita. And I was rooming with Esther at the time, and we went together to go pick her up, and got to know her, and she has been an amazing part of our lives, and she thinks of me as a second mama almost. But it was 5 years ago I guess we're almost on 6 years now. I had a near-death experience and died on the way to the hospital, came back with basically a brand new purpose. And I suddenly was on what I like to call Kita radio. I could hear Kita after that. And so we started to develop the language with her, and she was surprised, obviously, as was I. And over the years since then, we've really developed a huge amount of languaging where I channel directly for her, because I channel for guides and I channel for angelics. And my own particular origin is I am high angelic. So what that means is that I already had a connection for channeling. And then when that channel opened up, Kita described to us that she was what is called an adjacent. And so I had to ask her about that. And basically, it means the adjacents are the angelic messenger service. She works to deliver messages from angel to angel and angel to people and that type of thing. And what has developed especially over this past 2 years, is she has been channeling directly for the archangels, and the messages have been something that we communicate with a lot. However, Archangel Gabriel just recently has stepped in and asked us to take this out to everyone else. So we have been having different events, and we now, on the third Sunday of every single month, we host a live Zoom event where Kita delivers a message from either Archangel Gabriel or Gabriel and Ariel. She also works with Archangel Uriel and sometimes Raphael. And so the angelic messages coming through are incredibly powerful right now, and they are actively about the ascension process that we're doing. And I must say that many of the adjacents, literally adjacent means side by side. It's next to, and they are a side by side service with the angelics. And so the messages are powerful at this point. And I will say that if you choose to join us, I would love to have you join us. And the information will be down below in the description with a link. But those messages are so powerful, and they're literally giving us almost a roadmap of where we're going and where we're heading in this ascension type process and where we're going. Now, adjacents also come in many different kinds of bodies. This is Kita's first go round as a doggy, but they can be in horses, cats, dogs, elephants are a major one, donkeys we've heard from. So they recently, just in the last 10 to 12 months, a very, very large population of the adjacents have come into doggy bodies on the planet, all the way around the globe, because they are here as a light worker support system. Because as light workers, Starseeds as well, and all the ascension process that we're going through and anchoring the tremendous amount of light on the planet that we've been doing, we're exhausted, and they're coming in to support the light workers. But Kita has, because she has a Jode, because she calls me Jode, you're going to hear from her in a few moments. But because she has me to channel directly for her, we have taken it out to a much larger level, and this is why we're introducing it onto the YouTube channel. Kita will also be a part of our community that we're putting together, be a large part of that. And I think that the thing about this, and as light workers or starseeds, your dog or cat may very well be an adjacent as well, especially if you feel that there's a high spiritual difference when you look at them, when they relate to you. You can tell through their eyes, through their imagery, through their way of being with you. And that's a powerful thing. And the adjacents also have the ability to support energetically and channel energy to their person. And so this is a powerful time right now.
Wonderful. And I will say I am so grateful for Kita, and she does help keep me grounded. And that I think is one of the gifts that dogs do in general, but it's different. And I knew right away from the moment I met Kita that she was very different. There was something beyond her just being a dog. I didn't know what until things developed over the years. But it is quite an amazing experience, and she has so much to share. And it's really nice to know that we're not alone, especially in these, challenging and changing times, and that we do have assistance from archangels, and there are helpers here to guide us through, and through the light and to the light. So, well, Kita, would you like to share some thoughts and let people know about you?
Is that what? Okay, you guys are going to hear my voice change. She has a very unique way of talking. She likes to add ed to a lot of words. So if she's going to say I'm done, it's I'm done did. Her L's come out as W's, so you're going to hear, but you're going to see my face change and my voice change because I channel direct for her. So I'm waiting, Jode. Okay, she calls me Jode. Kita, would you describe to everybody and explain everybody what adjacents do as their job? So I've been adjacent for a very, very, very long time. And I am very necessary because the messages that are coming from the changes that everybody going through on the planet is a really necessary right now to know what is happening. You say, what the heck is happening here? And so I deliver in the messages. Right now, my numero uno is Gabriel. Yeah, that's her numero uno she delivers for, is Archangel Gabriel. Oh, yeah, I call them the big guys. I deliver for the big guys. And Gabriel, he in charge of communication. So he is always delivering the messages for the masses, for the masses. Yes. And so he is very powerful when he delivers. And Ariel, she delivered too, but you know what? She helps with the animals, kingdom. So she helps them with my doggy body, and she helps everybody. And she also is helps with supported the planet with all the wildlife, the wildlife. Yeah. And Ariel, he's such a cool dude. I just say he my friend. He helps her with abundance, Yeah. And so sometimes he have messages for me, but I get to put on the call about it. Yeah, she gets a message saying she's on call, and she'll let me know, and she'll say, okay, I'm going to get a message sometime today. And so by that time, usually after dinner, we're already right there in a channeling session getting the information. And Jacksons, we are very, very, very powerful. And we learn how to deliver energy and channel energy. And now I got to tell everybody, Raphael has upgraded all of us so we can channel healing for our peoples. Yes, she's recently had an upgrade, and all the adjacents have, to be able to channel healing energy down through to their persons. Oh, yeah. This is a very powerful. I helped Darlene a few days ago, and she felt it much better. Yep, she did. She helped Darlene. Yeah. And so this is a powerful task, but for her, she's had a lot of, we're going to call them promotions up the chain, because she has me as a channel that has a venue to be able to get the messages out. And so she has been delivering, my goodness, we have messages probably 2 to 3 times a week, but we are putting out a message once a month in a live format so that you can participate with us. And I will say, one of the key things about the difference between channeling directly for Gabriel and then channeling through Kita as the adjacent, there's a huge difference. When you listen to a direct channel that comes through, a lot of times it's an overview. You get some high level words. It's you just get a basis of what's happening. But when it comes through Kita as the adjacent, you get a description, you get instructions. She breaks it down so that we actually understand it all. And she helps us to actually put it into play in our current lives. And we get to ask questions. Okay? So there's a huge difference with getting the information through her because she's processing it differently. And keep in mind, doggies, they're very literal. And so she takes things very, very literally. And sometimes we have to explain certain things. I mean, we have a whole stories upon stories of her and how she takes things literal. Okay. And so, but she's learning at such a tremendous pace and it's growing and evolving all the time. So I really would suggest and recommend, if you would love to have the experience, click on the link below because you can join us live on the third Sunday of the month. I will say the next one is February 16th. We are in 2025 at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And the third Sundays of the month, the only difference right at the moment is going to be April because the third Sunday is Easter. So in April, we'll be on the second Sunday. Okay, so just a little heads up on that. But Kita, is there anything else you'd like to share? No, I want everybody to come and see me. You know what? I'm pretty amazing and I'm spectacular. And I just are going to say that I have a lot to say. And everybody that comes to my message gets to also experience a my comedian. Comedian too. I learned how to do that because you know what? Everybody needs a whiten up a bit to lighten up. Yeah. And I've been warning about being a comedian. So sometimes I deliver that comedian at the same time about it. So I would be very excited for everybody to come and see me. So I just say it. That's all I want to say. Okay. All right. Thank you,
Thank you,
Peter.
Keith. Well, as you can see, she's a gem and has a lot to say and is part of the inspiration of creating a community space such as Oasis to Oneness. We've worked together for years, all three of us in different realms. And it got to a point where things are moving so rapidly and people are really wanting to connect with other like-minded souls, that we felt driven to create such a space and to be able to share more about Kita, the adjacents, the archangels, and all the other gifts that Jody and Darlene are able to help assist with someone's soul growth and potential. And it seems like more and more people are searching for that. So the time is now. So, we've got exciting things going on in the background. And this is just kind of the announcement to the start. But we are excited to be starting a membership community where all of this information that we just lightly touched on today can have a home in where people can connect to one another. So is there a final message, Jody and Darlene, that you'd like to share with us today?
Well, I think I would just like to expand a little bit on the Oasis to Oneness. It is basically going to be a community portal. in the fact that members, once you join us, members can actually talk to each other. It is not something that is simply just a holding spot. Okay, it's a community where you can build relationships. You can connect with other people that are like-minded to you, other people that are going through their awakenings, other people that are going through their ascension process and raising their frequencies. It's going to be a space that is all built around community. And we will be announcing the opening of that portal, Oasis to Oneness, over the course of the next few weeks. So we are in the building process right now. We are introducing it. And as soon as that is open and running, we'll be posting it, and I will update the description down below to include the link to join us once that's ready to happen. And you'll see Darlene's work in there, as well as my own, as well as a lot of activity from Kita as well in the channeling and the angelics. And there's a huge amount. We'll have starseed information available as well. So, and with the galactics, there's just so much information to share. And yet we also so powerfully want to give all of you an opportunity and a place to share too. This is not just about us sharing. It's about everybody having a place to communicate with each other. So this is a work in process. We should be live within just a couple weeks. So, like I said, make sure you check out the description below, because we'll be including links, and we'll update the links as we go forward. But you will find a link to my website, 5D Earth Speaks, and to darlenechadbourne.com for Darlene's site, and also a link for you to click to join to register for Kita's next talkie, because this is what she calls our third Sunday of the month. Our live events is her talkie. So, and everyone that participates does receive the recording afterwards, because I will say they need to be listened to multiple times, because there's so much information and it's happening on so many levels. And have a pad of paper to take notes and keep processing it, because it will help you with your own spiritual awakening and growth and transformation. That's the key. Like I said, I'm an energy transformation specialist. Darlene works with energy and douses energy. I douse energy as well. But the energy and transformation is powerful. Go ahead, Darlene.
Also, we are going to get to the point where members will be able to ask questions and bring up subjects that they would like us to discuss. And so that we will be listening to people as well as talking to people. And this is what people say most about my work, is that they feel listened to and they feel honored and respected, and always encouraged to step into their full enlightenment and their full authenticity. And this is the secret of us moving forward into this age of Aquarius. We're done with Pisces. The energy will no longer support the power over of the Piscean age, and we are going into another era of time, an era of time, not a year, not 10 years, not a century, 100 years, but a whole era of time, 2,000 some odd years. And so this is such an important time in history, and everybody's got questions and everyone has certain things they'd like to hear about. So it's important that you join in and participate. Okay? So take care. And thank you, Kita, for your messages.
Oh, so welcome, Darlene. I appreciate you. I always looking forward to talking to Darlene. See my person friend. I see my buddy. It's important. Thank you, Kita.
I keep her grounded.
Yes,
She likes
yes.
to be grounded.
Darlene is a focal point for her on our talkie times. And she does keep her grounded and keeps her on task, because in a doggy body, she can also get sidetracked pretty easily.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
So yes, and we do have to hear stories. We just heard a story prior to this about her having to wait too long when she went with her mama to go pick up groceries. So we had to hear all about that first. So we always have a lot of comedy with it. We always have a lot of stories. But I do want to say that one of the key things in my clients with all the years that I've been talking, and it's mostly even more so in this past year, is every single one of them, as people kind of fall out of their lives as they're raising their frequencies, not everybody can continue to match you as you raise your frequency higher. And some of them experience of not having as many people around to talk to you. And so this is a driving factor for us putting this community portal together, is because we want to create a unifying. That is part of Pluto going into Aquarius and this era of change, is that community is the way to be. Community is where we're headed. And so we're unifying. And absolutely, it's a place for everybody to ask questions, but it is also a place for you to talk to each other. And I really hope that in the next coming weeks, you will join us, because it is going to be a powerful place to be. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. It was amazing to hear all of this information, to share about each of you and the powerful channels that come through Kita. I'm so honored to be her keeper, and we do have so much to share. And Jody, yes, thank you for pointing on that this is a unifying community, and you never have to feel alone. And for those who are looking for a place where they can be heard, listened to, and learn and grow, it's quite powerful, and we're excited to get this developed in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for our announcements. And until next time, thank you for joining us on the Oasis to Oneness channel.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Many blessings.